JT and the Don with your hosts, Jimmy Thompson and Donato Bucci. They're covering the most current issues in sports from the 305 to the 412 and all the way to the West Coast. You can follow them on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram at JT and the Don or email them at jtandthedon@gmail.com. Now take it away, guys.
Give them a shot to do what?
Welcome to the next episode of JT and the Don. I am the Don, Donato Bucci. We are presented by Give Us a Shot Network. And remember to subscribe to us on all of the major podcast platforms. And please leave us a 5-star review. And also remember to subscribe to the Give Us a Shot Network YouTube channel. All right, we have a great show ahead for you with a special guest, Jerm Edwards from Stuff About Sports right here on Give Us a Shot Network, and he is our resident Buffalo Bills expert, so we know he is in a really good mood, happy after that Monday Night Football showing. But first, one person we know that is never happy, by the way, but let's welcome him in, everyone's favorite JT, Jimmy Thompson. How you feeling today?
Yeah, I already see how this shit's gonna go. You got somebody to help you out. You know, you always have to go. You had to go get the boss to help you on the show with me. So that's why I know what type of day it is. But no, man, I'm good, man. Look, hey, the Bills are doing good. Of course, this guy appears. You know, the Bills do good. He's like Candyman. He gonna show up. But I'm good, man. It's all good, man. You had to go get the boss to team up on me to do this show. So let's do it.
Well, as I mentioned, let's welcome in Jerm Edwards from Stuff About Sports. Jerm, first, thanks for making time to come on. We know you're a busy guy. How's it going?
Everything's good, man. I just appreciate y'all let me crash the party. Bert's out of town this week, so I didn't know if I was going to do Stuff About Sports, and luckily you guys came and saved the day for me because I wanted to talk a lot, and I had nobody to talk to, and who else better than to tame the diabolical hater. It was about time that I had to come on and because the last couple of weeks, man, I've been watching y'all show, man. JT's been wilding, so I just came to make sure everything was copacetic.
Yeah, put him in his place. Feel free to do so.
Oh, good luck with that, man. Anyway, on that note, y'all ready to get started, man? Let's go. We got to talk about the rookie quarterbacks, the struggles, man. So, of course, with the struggles of Caleb Williams and Bo Nix, 2 starting rookie quarterbacks through their first couple of games of the season. And then, of course, Jaden Daniels was until last night he broke out on Monday Night Football, but he had been struggling a little bit as well. So, with all that being said, that's the topic of conversation around the league. You know, do teams need to go back to sitting these rookie quarterbacks longer to start their careers? Don, I'm obviously going to skip over you first. Jerm seems like he's ready to go. He's locked and loaded, so we're going to let him answer this question first.
So, No, I don't think so, because would the Texans have been better off sitting C.J. Stroud, right? Like, it depends on who you have. So, and it depends on your situation. Like, take Justin Fields, for example. If Justin Fields sat for 2-3 years and then he looks like the Justin Fields we see here today with Pittsburgh, the conversation about him overall would be different. But would that change? Would CJ Stroud be any better or worse? Like, I think there are unicorns that exist. I think, like, a Josh Allen, like Patrick Mahomes sat, and maybe that benefited him. Maybe it didn't. Maybe the Chiefs just maybe wasted 2 years of getting some extra Super Bowls. Josh Allen didn't sit, and he struggled his rookie year, but you could clearly see that he was, he stiff-armed Aaron Donald like his rookie year. Like, there's unicorns in the game. Bryce Young, who he probably should have sat because he didn't come out of college looking like, somebody who was ready to step in and instantly change your franchise. Andrew Luck comes to mind. You knew from day one he was going to be a difference maker. So I think the answer is it depends. I don't think you should take this sample size, mostly because I think the crop of quarterbacks that have come out in the last couple of years haven't been as strong as maybe the last decade or so. But I think if you are a franchise that's worth anything and you are good at talent evaluation, if you think your guy's ready to go day one, specifically if you have the pieces around you, then yes, like the Panthers probably shouldn't have started Bryce Young day one because they weren't a Bryce Young away. The Texans probably could have done it, could have afforded to do it, especially in their division. So that I think the long story less long. I think the answer just depends on who you got.
Well, I mean, decisions like to start or sit a rookie quarterback have, many factors. So you mentioned that a little bit, Jerm, like draft spot of the player, typically the higher, the earlier he goes, they're inclined to play him. Team expectations, win losses, like who the starter would be if it's not this guy. Is it, someone that was drafted 2 years ago in the 6th round, not named Tom Brady? I mean, you almost might as well put out the 1st round pick then. Like status of the coach. If the coach needs to win now, he might have to start this guy because he might never get a chance to save his job otherwise. And there's always exceptions. You kind of mentioned CJ Stroud, Peyton Manning, even I think Joe Burrow started off the jump. But you can't tell me a guy like Bryce Young was better off starting than sitting, right? And like, what if Darnold could have sat? Would he have been this Sam Darnold now, still in New York? And now the Jets have a young franchise quarterback. Yes, they never get Aaron Rodgers, but they would have had a younger franchise quarterback than what they have now because Aaron Rodgers is no longer a franchise quarterback. He's just a really good quarterback, right? Future Hall of Famer. So my whole point boils down to this. And we could even use CJ Stroud as an example. Sitting a rookie quarterback, in my opinion, will not ruin his career. Whereas I think starting a QB can. For example, David Carr, right? But even if you sat CJ Stroud, would he be a bust today? Like, I understand, Jerm, what you're saying. You lose that year, but you know what? You're at least giving yourself a chance in the future because he wouldn't be a bust if he's as good as we think he is, which he's shown. So what's it matter if he sits a year? So to me, like, I just think that's what it comes down to is that sitting a guy will never hurt him or you. Maybe the head coach, because he might not get a chance to coach that guy the next year. But if I'm the franchise, that's maybe the one spot you can dictate who plays and kind of force the coach whether or not to sit him. So to me, I think it'll never do anyone harm because even Peyton Manning threw like 30 interceptions his first year. If he sat, are you telling me he's not the Peyton Manning he is now? Maybe he's even better because he never has those issues early on. So, I think that's what it comes down to.
Yeah, I agree with you guys. I think Jerm hit the nail on the head. Like, it depends on the situation. And I think the most recent thing we can look at is Bryce Young versus CJ Stroud. Like, you forget, CJ Stroud went to a team that had a Pro Bowl left tackle, and they had obviously a genius offensive coordinator in Bobby Slowick, where Bryce Young went to David Tepper and I don't know, whoever the hell was on the Panthers last year. So it depends on the situation. I think maybe the NFL should come with some rules. Like if your team is, not checking off these boxes and, your guy can't start for a year because you're going to damage their confidence. But all honesty, it does depend on where they land. Now, do I think starting some guys, like you mentioned, Peyton Manning and stuff like that, I think that really just comes down to that guy's overall confidence and fortitude because it's a 50-50 chance. I start this guy, I don't know if he's ready, but let's say he doesn't perform well. Like, how does his confidence adjust based on that? Peyton Manning's a rare example. He came out, he was shit his rookie year, but it didn't seem to affect his confidence. He ends up being one of the greats of all time. Bryce Young comes out, has a shitty start to his career, and his confidence looks shot just looking at his interview. So it just depends on the guy. But I think from the team perspective, it just really depends on where they land. Like, some teams are ready to carry a rookie quarterback along for the ride. Teams like the 49ers, the Seahawks did it with Russell Wilson. Teams can afford to do that. Some franchises can't. So it just depends on where they land.
Jerm, you got fans, man. You got fans and followers from Brandon. Jerm looking like main event. Thanks, Brandon, for watching.
Yeet.
Jerm brings the audience, no doubt. So let's talk some NFL offenses. All right, NFL teams were averaging 21.4 points per game through the first 2 weeks of the season, which is the 5th straight year scoring average has decreased in the fewest points per game total since 2006. All right. So, Jerm, let me ask you, Why is NFL scoring down through these early weeks of this season?
I think the NFL and sports in general is cyclical, right? Like it was a running league for a few decades and then became a passing league, like record scoring 50 to 40 games. I think, and then also you get the rule changes that benefit the offense. Well, now defenses are starting to figure out how to play defense with the new rules of, how they can guard certain players and things like that. So now the defense has caught up to the rule changes. It took a couple years, but I think they're starting to figure out how to play better defense. That's why I think when you see the scoring and the offense kind of, go down, even though I think we've had some of the best passing and the best quarterbacks and the best athleticism we've ever seen, the defenders are now catching up to the rules of the game. So now offenses are kind of what they used to be, where you actually have to scheme correctly. You can't just rely on chucking the ball down the field and hoping for a pass interference or some plays to help you get, up and down the field. So I think because a mixture of better defense and then unfortunately the refereeing has been awful. So it's slowing the game down. It's throwing teams out of rhythms. And then, you're settling for field goals in the red zone because of some penalty, putting you at 3rd and 20, somewhere taking you out. I just think a mixture of all those things is why NFL scoring's down, which is odd because it shouldn't be, because I think we've had the best crop of quarterbacks we've had in a long time and NFL scoring should be up. But what I've noticed lately is excellent defense, even from garbage teams, even from teams that aren't very good. They play actually pretty good defense. And so I think a mixture of defenses catching up to the offense and how the game is called today, and then a mixture of some of the penalties that we see messing up the flow of the game.
Jerm, always gotta blame the refs, man. Can't just give them credit. Just can't give them credit. JT, you gonna blame the refs?
Hey, look, man, you want the real answer or you want the corporate answer? Which one you want?
I'll give you the real answer.
I mean, we want the real answer. That's what the fans and listeners want.
I'll give you both. I'll give you the real answer first, because I like my dessert first. Who cares about vegetables? I told you this, 2 years ago we had this conversation. I was like, hey, man, Patrick Mahomes ruined the league. It's his fault. Blame him. Patrick Mahomes' fried defense is so bad. For 3 years, they're like, we'll never give him single high safety looks again. It's true. Think about when teams were not, and go look at the stats, because as soon as it started happening 2 years ago, I told Don, I was like, damn, this is about to mess up offenses, because you're not going to get those opportunities for those big plays one-on-one. You remember what the Chiefs were in their prime? They're down by 3 or 4 scores. It don't matter. Mahomes got a quarter left. He can score 35 points just like that. So I think that's a part of it. Teams are like adopting that bend but don't break mentality. And they're breaking less and bending more. So I think that's a reason for it. But there's other things going on too. I think the biggest culprits are, one, the preseason people just aren't getting work. So they start off much slower. So that affects your offensive line. That affects your offensive chemistry and play calling. People are rusty more often to start the season than they have in the past. Like I said, I think the O-line play is not as good consistently as it's been in the past. I think it's some of the worst I've seen in years. And then let's just call a spade, man. We talked about the rookie quarterbacks. There are a lot of young quarterbacks starting in this league, either, 2 years or younger experience. Like, it takes time for us to get to this golden age where everyone's got this veteran quarterback. And the other thing is, I just don't think the NFL play callers are as good as people want us to believe. Like, they're not. Like, there's some guys that are doing good, but it's like, are these guys that are calling these plays, outside of the proven guys, are these guys good? Or are the players around them boosting up their system? You know what I mean? Jerm's always calling, fire McDermott every 3 days, but I mean, they undefeated. Is he still a bad coach, or what's going on? So I think coaching is not up to the standard that we're used to, especially on offensive play calling. And I think those other factors of, just rust and just youth in the league, I think are playing into the scoring dip.
Yeah, to go to show you what you guys were talking about with defenses, here's a stat here, which I'll give credit to Mina Kimes of ESPN. Defenses play too high, meaning too high safeties, right, deep in their defensive backfield, 60% of the time in week 1. 5 years ago at this time, the rate was 38.4%. And what that also says, where I thought it was interesting, someone else also mentioned, O-line play is not as good as it once was. So you couple that with the too high, you need more time to pass for routes to develop, to get open, to beat the too high or the cover two, however you want to call it, that the O-line is not as good as what it once was. Yes, there are still really good linemen, right? We see them drafted all the time. But overall, like I remember the Pittsburgh Steelers, offensive line was money. You look back a couple years ago, not very good. Even this year with Broderick Jones basically being thrown out, but now back in because of the injury to their other offensive lineman, he's back in. And so that is one of the things that the defense is adjusted and the offensive line play has to get better. And Jerm, I agree with you that there's some really great quarterbacks, right? Lamar, Josh Allen, Patrick Mahomes, no doubt. But JT was hinting at something really interesting. To me, the last 5 years also coincides with the aging or retirement of some true Hall of Fame quarterbacks. Peyton Manning, Hall of Fame. Big Ben, Tom Brady, Breeze, Rodgers, Rivers, Russell Wilson, and even though Jerm may not admit it, probably Matt Ryan as well. All right. So you take that, there's 8 quarterbacks right there. And JT said it. It takes time to develop those young guys, but at the same time, guys like Lamar and Josh Allen, they're finally starting to get into their prime, right? They haven't hit it yet. So it took time for them to develop. And now you have this wave of other young quarterbacks. Because think about it. Jordan Love isn't quite there yet. Now he's injured. He's replacing Rodgers. Steelers haven't replaced Ben. Denver nor Indianapolis has replaced Peyton. Rivers is the only guy, in my opinion, that's been replaced with Justin Herbert. Breeze in New Orleans, no. I talked about Rodgers. Matt Ryan, no. And Russell Wilson, no. Except with Geno finally. So, like, I think the most important position in all the sports is quarterback. And so you're seeing that turnover, and now they just need to kind of rebuild it to catch back up to the defense and what they're doing.
Well, you see the Mel Kiper, like this, was trying to ban cover two. You mentioned cover two or high two safeties, but that, like, to me, that strengthens my argument that the defenses are getting too good now, and they're stifling some of these guys, like the unicorns, like Patrick Mahomes and Josh Allen and Lamar Jackson and some of these guys. So, but I do agree with your point. And it's nice to know that I'm not crazy, because you kind of basically said what I said in a just much more an intelligent and better way. So I appreciate you, Don.
Well, I don't know if I said it more.
Damn, do I need to leave? Y'all need some alone time. Is this going to be a glaze fest for y'all too, man? I see.
Listen. Only 3-0 teams can talk here about what is good for football. Okay.
Well, you've been on the milk carton ever since the Bills been doing Bills things and not getting it done. So I'm actually happy. See, I called you on the show when y'all at y'all strongest, so you can talk your shit. You know what I'm saying? But hey, look. That. I hope it lasts forever, because if it don't go miss it.
Jerm, I'm just amazed he actually wore Dolphin gear today. I think it's because he knew.
Because you guys will never shut up. It's like you guys can wear whatever you want, but I must be in my team's gear 24/7. I gotta eat it, I gotta sleep it, or it don't count.
You can't talk about Tua and the Dolphins and Mike McDaniel when you're wearing a Joe Burrow hat or a Joe Burrow shirt.
I can do what I want. If I want to piss this guy off and throw him off his game, I can do that. If I want to wear a Ravens hat because that's my second favorite team, because they got all my favorite UM players, and I actually like Lamar Jackson, and he a South Florida boy like me, I can do that. Hey, look, man.
You would root for Baltimore over your Dolphins. Anyway,
no, I would not.
Stick around for this
question, I usually have to, because they go much further.
Stick around for this question, JT, because I know you love running backs. So I'll just ask you first, JT. Is the era of running backs back?
Look, man, you know how I feel. All running backs matter, no matter what you say. I know you're always like, tag them until they die. Don't give them their money. Don't pay them. No running back is worth shit. But I
didn't say that last part. I didn't say that last part.
Yeah.
They are valuable to a team.
Nah, you've never said that. But despite all that, I don't, because we're talking about what era of running backs. There's been amazing running backs in the past, and I don't think any of these running backs right now are in that stratosphere. I think, if anything, it's the era of the committee running back. Unless we got some true bell cows out there, like on half the teams, I can't say this is the era of the running back. I just think the running backs are performing well for all the reasons we named. Too high, defenses are catching up. they would rather not stack the box than give up, the deep pass. So when you don't have a stacked box, guess what? Guys are going to run for more yards. And also, too, like I said, I don't think coaches are calling as good a plays as they used to, especially against defenses like this. So guess what? What's the easiest thing to do? Run the ball. When your quarterback is inexperienced and not playing well, losing confidence, what's the easiest thing to do? Run the ball. It's just, this is the only option some of these teams have. So I think early on, that's why you're seeing this resurgence of running back stats, even though the scoring is down, is because some of these teams just ain't got no other option, and it's the best option they have right now.
Good point. Good point. Patrick says Cook, James Cook, my guy on fantasy. I agree, James Cook.
He ain't believing James Cook. He tried to sell this man all off season. He didn't think James Cook was going to mount to them. Bills Mafia, if y'all listening, do not fall for this. He was not a James Cook fan.
I
kept him because nobody else wanted him, including you.
I got Josh Allen too. So that tells you what I believe in that Buffalo team.
Yeah, don't fall for this, Jerm. I'll tell you that right now.
So, Jerm, what do you say about the running back era?
So, I don't think the running back era is back. I actually, this is one of the questions I spent the most time debating. I don't think it's back. I just think it's different. There's not true bell cow running backs anymore. Derrick Henry is last of a dying breed. We mentioned James Cook. This is the perfect example. Yeah, he plays the position of running back, but where is he the most dangerous? Catching passes out the backfield, doing checkdowns. Like basically all his touchdowns that weren't in the red zone were from Josh Allen throwing him into the flat. So, and then him just making it happen with his speed. So the running back era isn't back as we know it, as men who grew up in football from a different era. Maybe for the new kids out here, like maybe this is what running backs are today. But from what we remember, no, the running back era isn't back. But I do think that teams and offensive coordinators are becoming very aware and very, progressive about how to use these running backs as kind of de facto wide receivers or kind of like check down options for some of these mobile quarterbacks. So that's basically my answers. I would say no, but it's also have never been more useful, as JT just said. That teams are just using them in different ways.
Yeah, no, it's not back. And to me, it'll never be back. It'll never be like it was before, as Jerm was saying, because Derrick Henry's the exception, not the rule. And because the majority of the teams don't have a bell cow. I don't even know if there is one. Because like you think about even Jahmyr Gibbs and Bijan Robinson, they're essentially in timeshares. I saw Tyler Algier out there a lot Sunday night, way more than I would expect them to, especially if I was a fantasy football owner of Bijan. I mean, the Barry Sanders, Emmitt Smith, like you can't even name their backups. Who were their backups? Like I was trying to figure it out. Marshall Faulk, because you mentioned, how they're using running backs more as receivers. Marshall Faulk to me was kind of that first guy that I can remember. But Jerm, even then, he was their bell cow. Who was his backup? Do you remember? I don't know who the backup was on that Super Bowl team. Exactly. If Detroit wins, we will always know it's Montgomery and Gibbs, right? Like we will always know that. So to me, the whole timeshare thing gets rid of, is the running back era back? No. And it is different, but this is also the reason, and I know JT laughs at me, but with the running back position in the NFL today, linebackers are bigger, much bigger compared to the 70s and 80s than they are now. Linemen are more athletic and safeties are faster. Yes, could some hit really heavy back then like the Ronnie Lotts and the Steve Atwater? Sure. But these safeties nowadays, I mean, they're flying to the ball. And when you have that and you have a position that runs in between the tackles, it's inevitable that a guy's going to get hurt. So when you're not willing to spend the money on that running back because of injuries, the running back era will never be back, because after 3 or 4 years, just like you see in Pittsburgh, they go from Le'Veon to Najee, and they're setting it up for Jaylen Warren. So I don't see how the running back position can be back, because Jerome Bettis was there for 10 years, 11 years just in Pittsburgh. So
the closest one I could think of is Jonathan Taylor in Indianapolis. I have no idea who his backups are, but he's the closest thing to a bell cow that the league has today.
Yeah. And that's more has to do with his offense than anything. It's like, they need him to run the ball. Whereas I think also, to add on to what you guys were saying, I think analytics plays a big part in this too, like and how that's taken over sports. Like they're not going to let it return to the era of the running back because they're like, hey, look, analytics says when this guy gets to a certain amount of carries, we give it to this guy. He's only going to get so many touches for the season. Once he gets to this age, we're going to shut it down and ship him off. So they already have it set up to where these guys ain't going to expire. So we're never going to see, those years of a guy being a star running back for 12 years and, running the league. So I agree with you guys. I think what we said, and then plus like how people just approach how they construct their rosters and analytics.
And what's funny too is they're starting to do that a lot in college football, these running back by committees. Look at Miami. I mean, they bring in a guy from the transfer portal, Damian Martinez, maybe the best running back in the portal, but they're still allowing all these other guys to running the ball.
Look at Ohio State. They had a first-round running back return to their team only for a guy that was going to be a first-round running back on another team in the SEC. Say, you know what? I'm going to go to that school. And, you would never see that back in the day.
Right.
Miami back in the day would be the only school where you had first-round talent at running back just sitting there.
And you had to wait your turn, right?
Exactly.
It was Portis, then the McGahee in Ohio State. Ohio State, when they brought in Maurice Clarett, it was his show. There was no one else. Yeah, there was no one else. So it's interesting that college football is doing it too, and I think it's based off of that position, unfortunately.
All right. That's too much agreeing going on too early in this game, so maybe this game will change it. So I'm going to do this so I don't piss off a certain somebody on this panel. So we're going to play the check down game. So
it's because I wrote you the script. I did this on purpose.
I'm going to give you the same excuse I give you every week. If I don't do it his way, he will complain about it. He will complain about it the rest of the show, and he will complain about it all night through text. Oh, you didn't read it my way. So I'm going to read exactly what you wrote, and if it doesn't come out the way you want to, it's your fault. You should have a better writer. All right. Let's play the NFL checkdown game. We will ask a question, then provide multiple answers to the question, and we will select the answer we think fits best to the question. So, did I get that right? Did that appease you? Did I get every verb, everything correct?
You stuttered at the end, but it was fine. I mean, I had
I wanted to piss you off a little bit. I can't give you exactly what you want.
If I don't write out the description to the
because nobody cares. We know what this segment is.
I wrote it on purpose. So
nobody cares about that explanation. The things he is anal about just blows my mind.
They need to know how to play the game.
Oh my god!
Yeah, come on now.
Can we start?
Go ahead. Sorry, man.
All right.
As long as Jerm understood your explanation, because
Jerm just look. Can we get on with the questions? He just here so he don't get fined. All right. Bigger surprise. Andy Dalton or Malik Willis? Jerm, since I think you brought up Malik Willis already, so let's go to you first.
The bigger surprise is absolutely Malik Willis. Andy Dalton already has a body of work. He's a winning quarterback in this league. I believe his record is 80-something games to 70-something losses. I think he has a couple of ties on his resume, but that's at this stage of his career, that's what he is. He's proven he can come and play quarterback in the NFL at a high level. Malik Willis was a projected first-round pick that fell into the third-round pick and then looked like ass in Tennessee. A year later with a completely different coaching staff. This is why you can't judge players who change teams or coaches who change teams. A different environment changes people. And now Malik Willis, he's gotten a very small minority saying, hey, Jordan Love, take your time. And maybe not full-blown quarterback controversy, but the panic is definitely subsided in Green Bay because now, if Malik Willis can play like he's been playing, maybe we can give Detroit a run for their money, and now all of a sudden Minnesota out of left field. But maybe we're not, the division isn't lost or our playoff hopes aren't dead when Jordan Love went down because Malik Willis is just because nobody saw this coming. When Jordan Love went down, it was Green Bay, better luck next year. We'll see what happens. But now
even worse, they were they need to bring in Ryan Tannehill tomorrow.
Yeah.
They're we need to find any guy on the street that has experience to come in.
They need to trade back for Aaron Rodgers.
Brett Favre can come out there and just throw the ball like this down the field and see what happens.
Too soon.
Man, he was robbing. He was robbing poor folks in Mississippi. I don't care about his Parkinson's disease. Get out.
Well, listen, with Dalton, I mean, we've seen him do this before, whether it was Cincinnati, Dallas, or New Orleans, right? He can pinch hit nicely. We've seen that before, but we haven't seen this from Malik. over 200 yards, a touchdown, beat his former team. And, I think many people wrote him off when he lost that job to Levis and not being a high round pick, like, oh, he'll never get another shot. He's just signing with Green Bay to go on their taxi squad, play a couple preseason games and go home. So when I saw this, kind of came out of left field, even though we knew he was going to be the starter to replace injured Jordan Love. But I mean, bigger surprise, I think it's a no-brainer. It's Malik Willis.
Yeah, I'm gonna make it a sweep. It's Malik Willis. I don't even need to reiterate the stats because I don't care. But just think about it this way. I thought after last year, Malik Willis was gonna be out of the league this year. Like I didn't expect him to be on an NFL roster. Then the Packers trade for him out of nowhere. Shout out to Mike LaFleur, still screwing over the Titans because they definitely should have kept him as a coach. And they've been bad ever since they let him go as an OC. But yeah, I thought Malik was going to be out of the league, and I think he didn't even have a touchdown pass until he started a game for the Packers in his entire career. So I mean, he's 2-0. They look competent enough, like Jerm said, to where hey, maybe we can take a little bit longer time letting Jordan Love get better because he is our high-paid franchise quarterback. So I mean, Malik Willis, Tyrod Taylor-esque backup / gap starter going forward. Didn't have that on my bingo card this year, so I agree. It's definitely Malik Willis.
You mentioned LaFleur. It was funny. They showed the post-game in the locker room, and he was holding up the game ball. I thought he was going to give it to himself because he's like, there's not too many chances in this league where you come back to the place where you were and you stick it to him. And I thought he was talking about himself to Tennessee, and he's like for Malik Willis. So they both had a little skin in the game going into that. So I wonder if LaFleur gave him a little extra tutelage to get him ready for Tennessee.
Hey, man, theme of the day. We hate the Titans. All right, next one. Bigger surprise. Malik Neighbors balling with the Giants and Daniel Jones, or the Lions offense regressing. Don, I'm going to go to you because I feel like you were not a Lions believer coming into the season.
I think I had them in the Super Bowl.
I'm definitely coming to you.
This is the problem, Jerm. He don't listen. He don't listen. We had a whole NFL
because you get so much stuff wrong, clearly.
I picked them to go to the Super Bowl. I think maybe to play Kansas City. I forget. But listen, and I told you, JT, I like Malik Neighbors a lot. He's going to be a great receiver. So what he's doing is not surprising, even with Daniel Jones, because they're going to force feed him. He's got to get all the targets. They don't have anybody else, especially once they lost Saquon. So I think the surprise is the Lions offense, but not like in general, right? They're still 4th in total yards per game. All right. But they're 16th in points per game. And that is the surprise to me. We knew they could move the ball up and down, which they have 4th in total yards. But what I'm surprised is they can't finish drives. And we started to see that in the NFC title game, which cost them a chance to the Super Bowl because they had to go for it, whether right or wrong, on multiple 4th downs because they couldn't finish drives. So to me, even with Laporta injured, they still won 2 out of 3. They've won 1 on the road, so I'm not concerned about them. The only thing is, yes, bigger surprise, I think, is the Lions not scoring enough points.
Sure.
I'm going to say Malik Neighbors. I'm not worried about the Lions. They're still the 7th-ranked offense. They had a big day in their running game. Yes, the passing game
hasn't been. What's the bigger surprise, Jerm? It's not concern. It's bigger surprise.
Bigger surprise.
Yeah, I'm surprised that Malik Neighbors is balling simply because of the team. Because it's not about him. He's a wide receiver. He can't go in and be amazing. We already know he's an amazing player. I'm surprised that the Giants are actually utilizing him and Daniel Jones isn't. Like, I thought he was just going to go there and wither away and just not. We aren't going to hear from him until the Giants get a competent quarterback out there. But so I am shocked. The Lions is not a surprise to me because they were going to come back to earth at some point. And like we talk about regression, like. They're not the worst offense in the league. Like they didn't go, they're still, maybe they're not a top 5 offense right now, but they're still a probably top 10 offense or somewhere in that class.
Technically they are a top 5. They're 4th in total yards per game.
Yeah. So what regression are we talking about? Yeah. They're not passing as much as they did last year, I guess. But if we're talking about surprises, because the Giants are just such a worse situation, the fact that I didn't think they should have even drafted Neighbors because, like, for what? Like, you have offensive line issues, you have defensive issues. I'm surprised that he's making the impact on the Giants that he's making. And so, in terms of bigger surprise, I'm going to go ahead and go with Malik Neighbors only because of the situation, not because of him specifically.
Your guy Dayball, he's scheming him up, man.
I know,
scheming him up, bro.
That's what he's there for. Yep, good. About time, Dayball. Yeah. All that Ozempic finally got his brain right. You finally be able to call the correct plays for the Giants.
Oh man, we're not gonna make it through this show.
No,
to be honest,
we're gonna get the plug pulled on us.
This was close because what's concerning to me about the Lions is I didn't see a Jared Goff regression coming like this, and I'm not convinced that he's not the problem because everyone was like, "Yeah, Jared Goff showing he can ball out away from McVay in this offense. They went so far last year." And I'm like, "Damn, he's turning back into a pumpkin. He ain't there, but it's pumpkin spice. It's on the way." But yeah, I agree. It's Malik Neighbors. And Don, you lying if you thought that Malik Neighbors was going to go there and be good with Daniel Jones. Nobody thought that. And what's more impressive is it's not like he's played bad defenses to start. He played Minnesota week 1, had a really good game against Brian Flores in that defense. And they just played the Browns defense I think they have the highest paid cornerback in the league in Denzel Ward. He usually locks people up. Didn't matter. 2 touchdowns, 100+ yards. Malik Neighbors, he definitely has been more impressive than Marvin Harrison Jr., who everyone said was generational. Like Malik Neighbors is going out there and continuing that LSU wide receiver run that is generational at this point. If you play wide receiver there, you got a chance to be a stud in the league, and he's showing it. He's showing it right away, just like the other ones before him. So I'm going with Malik as being the better surprise.
Hey, we have a comment there, Mike. Appreciate you always listening. Let me answer this question. I'll take this question for you, Mike. Do you think the Chicago Bears could trade back for Justin Fields real quick? As a Steeler fan, nah, sorry. Keep it moving. Next question. Next question.
All right, next question.
Shout out to the Shot Kid on the Give Us a Shot Network. He's cool. Mike uses good people.
Yeah. Oh, this one's interesting. All right. More likely to lose the locker room before the end of the season. Antonio Pierce, Mike McCarthy, Mike McDaniel, or I'm going to throw a curveball in here, Matt Eberflus. Jerm, which one of these 4 do you think has the best chance to lose the locker room by the end of the season?
I think Antonio Pierce has the locker room. Like, they chose him a year ago. I don't think they're going to pull the plug or turn their backs on him. I think there's certain individuals that probably are over it. So I think Antonio Pierce is good. Eberflus, they already have a scapegoat. Caleb Williams is not good, and that's why Mike Hughes said that. I tried to tell Mike Hughes all offseason that they picked the wrong guy. This is Bryce Young all over again. The perfect guy was sitting there for you. You had the number 1 pick. I told Mike Hughes that Jaden Daniels was the man. He said, no, Caleb Williams. And now look what's happening. So the Bears will get bailed out by the Caleb Williams thing. Mike McCarthy is the answer because they were trying to get rid of him for the past 2 seasons. Every offseason, they're about to get rid of this guy. And Jerry Jones is the perfect person to push all the blame, even though he's making the decisions. He somehow makes it about the coach because Jerry Jones isn't going to take the accountability. He's the owner and the GM. So you can't fire the GM because he's the GM. So who can you fire? You fire the coach. And the Cowboys have just been doing it since '98. The wash, rinse, repeat. It's just it's Mike McCarthy, and honestly, it doesn't. You couldn't even have put Mike McCarthy. You could have just put Cowboys coach because anytime you ask this question, just put Cowboys coach there, and they're always the one that are going to lose the locker room.
Yeah, it's McCarthy, and listen, even though the guys are all paid, right, and they should be out there playing and really trying their best. They're great. If they end up greatly underperforming with the high expectations and the pressure of playing for Dallas, like it'll unravel for all of them, and it'll be on McCarthy. And listen, the other thing is Raider fans, Bears fans, Finns fans, they're realistic. They're realistic, and they expect this. They expect the other shoe to drop at some point. Cowboy fans, they think they're going to win it every year, and that's what creates everything. They're America's team, and this and that, blah, blah, blah. And so when they don't succeed, they start blaming people, as Jerm said. Unfortunately for McCarthy, it's going to fall on him because all the guys in that locker room that matter, Dak, CeeDee Lamb, Micah Parsons, guess what? They're not going anywhere. They paid. They're set. They're going to be happy. But it's McCarthy that'll lose that locker room because he's going to eventually be kind of the lame duck coach.
Yeah, I mean, you guys are right. Even though Jerry Jones would rather check out his players and do his job, everyone in that building knows he runs the team. So Mike McCarthy is on his way to pink slip paradise anyway.
I see what you did there. I did
a lot. I'm not sure you can see it all. You got 4 eyes though, so you might have.
See, Jerm. See that?
That's crazy.
Relax.
What is that?
Relax.
That felt offensive.
Relax
That's
or
offensive.
panic.
That's
Perfect segue. He's panicking. He should be relaxed. Relax or panic.
That's the worst thing you've ever said on the show.
No, I've said worse.
That was straight up. Then that's a problem. Jerm,
relax.
You got to look into that.
Relax or panic. Don, I'm gonna go to you first. You seem like you're calmed down, so I think you can answer this objectively. Relax or panic. Anthony Richardson, aka the next Justin Herbert.
Oh, relax. That's my guy. Then relax. Listen, he's only played in 7 games, and really, I think he's only finished 5 of them. I mean, in terms of start to finish. So, and he's coming back from injury. Like, I don't understand where all of a sudden we have this great need. This guy can't throw in 3 games. He hasn't played good in 3 games. We took him number 2 overall, out the door, next guy in. Like, everybody.
Hey, man, Bryce Young has accelerated all them excuses for quarterbacks now, so everybody's on edge now.
Exactly, but relax. Like, listen, he's played good defenses this year, and to me, the Colts aren't ready to challenge in the AFC yet. But he is the franchise.
You picked him to win the Super Bowl 3 years ago.
But this was before him. He is the franchise, and he will be good. And this is part of the problem with the Colts, according to Next Gen Stats. Intended air yards per target through the first 3 games is 12.6. That stat goes back to 2018. The highest is only 11. Josh Allen. They need to start building this offense instead of just using his arm to chuck it 50 yards every game. Like, once they do that, they'll be fine because this guy can play in the NFL.
Jerm, you agreeing with that, or are you panicking?
His last game was awful. He threw like a 5-yard pass like 10 feet too high. But again, overwhelming.
Jaden Daniels' first 2 games weren't great either. They got bailed out against the Giants win. Yeah. If not, they'd be 0-2 going into that game last night.
So I mentioned earlier, when it comes to rookie quarterbacks or second-year or young quarterbacks in general, maybe they're not instantly great, but like there's certain things that you can kind of attach to and say, okay, here's this talent. His talent is so overwhelming. I'm willing for him to suffer a few years. Also, I think that team is not built for his skill set. They need to look at 2015 Carolina Panthers and look at how the Panthers built around Cam Newton. He needs 2 running backs, maybe 2 tight ends. He needs protection. I watched him slip on 1 foot, fall backwards, and throw the ball 70 yards in the air. Like that, you have to give that a chance. So not many people can do that. There's maybe 3 guys in the league that could probably do that. So yes, I think you should relax because yes, he's coming back from injury. He's only started or played like 17 games since high school. Relax. The sample size isn't there quite yet. He is flirting. He's getting dangerously close, but I'm going to go ahead and say relax.
I don't want to do this because
you wrong, JT. No. You wrong if you go against us.
No. Also, I like the kid. He's very well spoken. He's like a nice guy. Like he seems like he works hard. He's the ultimate team guy. Like this is how I want my franchise quarterback to be personality wise. It's him. Like he's not gonna cause no problems. He's gonna come in and put in the work. He's gonna rehab, like all that stuff. But I'm gonna bring up what I told you when we did our draft show when he came out. I love the talent, and Jerm brings up the great points about, give him a chance. The tools are crazy and all that. I watched that game against the Texans where he threw that ball like 80 yards off his back foot and hit somebody in stride. But here's the thing that people don't realize about that game. He only completed 9 passes. In the last game he played on Sunday, he only completed 10 passes. And you just mentioned how he missed the high school throw that Don himself could make. I go back to this stat, and I'm going to say it again. And I said this is my concern with him before the draft, is he was in the 3rd percentile of quarterbacks in the last 20 years coming out of college as far as completing passes from 0 to 10 yards. And the reason why they harped on that stat was the biggest indicator of quarterback success if you are in the higher percentile of completing passes consistently in that range. It was like him and like Christian Hackenberg were like the only two quarterbacks down there in like 20 years. So he was already a miss the layup type of guy. And then I look at what I've seen in the league. He can't stay healthy. He still can't hit the layups. Yes, he makes some special plays, but that's not enough to win games. Like, they took this kid number 5 overall, and the alarming stats continue. He's only completing 49% of his passes this year, and he's first in the league in off-target rate, which we see every game. He's at 23%. And the crazy thing about it is he's missing all these throws, and he has the longest time of any quarterback time to throw in the league. He's averaging over 3 seconds every game. So PFF says this is like the holy grail of pass blocking offensive lines in Indy, and he still can't hit guys 0 to 10 yards. Like, I'm sorry. If this were Bryce Young or somebody else, like, we'd be panicking. But because he fails freakishly, it's like, oh, let's look the other way, give him a shot. And I'll say one more thing. This was the other stat that was crazy to me. And I don't know if it's him, maybe it's Shane Steichen. They said that his reads on dropbacks, his first read, 95% of the time, whatever side Michael Pittman's on, that's where it goes. Like 95% of the time, wherever Pittman is, that's where the first read goes. So I'm assuming that's making it harder for him to be a good quarterback too, because the defense knows where he's going to go on his first read in the pass play. So the stats and what I see so far is alarming to me. Me personally, I think they'll be picking Dylan Raiola in 2027. Like, I don't think this is going to work out, but I'm willing to see what happens, and I want him to succeed. But I'm panicking.
You know, a couple of things, JT, before we move on. 7 games in. The guy's played 5 games. The guy played 5 games. And you want to talk about college stats. I mean, if you go back and look, a lot of people said the reason why Josh Allen shouldn't go top 5 and the Browns should pass him.
But Donato, Josh Allen was on this same chart. He was nowhere near the – you know how bad you have to be 3 percentile?
Let me finish. They kept saying he's not accurate. You go look at Wyoming, the teams he was playing, his completion percentage was really bad. They were saying about Jaden Daniels.
Josh Allen was good as a junior.
He couldn't. So you're saying again,
he was.
You're going to skew your argument to your favor. That's fine. Look, I just want to push. You said your piece.
I get your guy. I get you want the Justin Herbert thing to happen, but it's not. It has
nothing to do with whether he's my guy or not. I'm giving pushback so the fans get both sides. Because according to you, it's only one side of the JT side, and it's usually the wrong side. So the problem is also they talked about Jaden Daniels. He couldn't make throws in college over the middle, and that's where you got to make your living in the NFL. He looked like a pretty dang good franchise quarterback to me last night.
We really comparing Jaden Daniels to Anthony Richardson. Jaden Daniels won a Heisman in the SEC, and he was a freshman starter at Arizona State, and he balled out. We've been watching him for basically 5 years.
You know how many guys?
Anthony Richardson for all of 12 games at Florida.
If you ever let me finish, I'd love to make my
point. You could. I don't understand why you keep digging yourself in this hole.
Which is very valid. You know how many Heisman guys I've watched that were terrible in the NFL. That were terrible in the NFL. So your argument, Jaden Daniels winning a Heisman?
No, the fact that you're comparing people's concerns about Jaden Daniels to boost up, Anthony Richardson will be okay. Like, that's not the path you should go down.
You
want
to judge
Jaden Daniels also got a lot of good on his tape from college and say, you know what? All right, we can see where the upside is.
And you want to judge the guy on 5 NFL games. And this is why I know I'm right. Our guy Mike Regina, relax, Richardson.
Fan.
Right there. That's the reason. There it is. That's how we know. Jerm, that's how we know we're right. Jerm had to take off his glasses to make sure he was hearing you correctly, JT.
Yeah. You ever have to like back into your parking spot and turn the music down like that was going to change how you parked? I had to do that and take down my glasses to make sure I was hearing you correctly. You sound ridiculous, Don. I mean, not Don, JT. Don is trying to make a sound, logical argument, and you're trying to poo-poo all over it.
I see why you bring him on. He gets everything nice and calm the way you like it. I get it.
It's not even that. It's like the argument is sound. Your comp was Bryce Young. We have 2 seasons of Bryce Young, or a season and some games of Bryce Young. Like, you can see it. Is there anything that Bryce Young that does that you can hold on to, that we look at Anthony Richardson and say, okay, yeah, he's not playing the best. He has a 49% completion percentage, but he does this, this, and this. There is literally nothing that Bryce Young does that you can say, man, maybe if we add this or do this, he'll be okay. No.
The crazy part,
should they give up?
The crazy part about this whole interaction is
the
only thing Jerm heard was Bryce Young. So, hey, shout out to you.
But JT,
the second thing is, can you imagine if Anthony Richardson was on the Panthers right now? Like, it might be worse.
I don't know how it could be worse. I mean, yeah, Andy Dalton was a huge upgrade, but if you're comparing it to Bryce Young, it couldn't get much worse. It could not have gotten much worse.
All y'all heard was Bryce. That's why I know I'm right. Y'all hanging on to something I said to Bryce Young. Because of a comment I said. I said about the guy being a Bryce Young fan. That's all y'all hanging on to. You know what? I hope Anthony Richardson makes it.
Are you giving up on him right now?
I hope he does.
I'm trying to figure out why you're giving up on him.
Yeah,
we're trying to figure out why you're giving up on him.
Everything I said, like, you know what? And I get it. I don't want him to fail. The tools are crazy. Okay, but you got to make it work at some point. And we have like he has a shitty play call. Shane Steichen is supposed to be the quarterback whisperer. Don, what did you say when he came out? If you can't make it work with him in the NFL, I know he has all these question marks. You shouldn't be a coach. It ain't working.
It's 5 games in.
It's 5 games. I mean,
you talk about being impatient. You are the ultimate impatient fan. My goodness.
Yeah, all right, cool. If you was your quarterback, you'd be impatient as hell too.
My goodness.
Shout out to Kenny Pickett. All right, next one. Panic or relax? The Miami Dolphins. I mean, you want me to take this first?
Just answer the question for us, JT.
All right, I'm gonna switch gears. I'm gonna say relax because I'm looking at the long-term perspective here.
Oh, Jerm, now he looks at long-term. Not 5 games, but long-term.
Let me explain why. Why I'm gonna say relax. I'm gonna say relax because yes, we do need Tua to come back, but long-term, Mike McDaniel has proven this system can be quarterback friendly. He has proven it. Now, it doesn't help.
How is he proving it exactly?
That our backup quarterback is Tim Boyle, who literally has the worst QBR all time in college and the pros, and I don't know why he's still in the league. That's why Tyler Huntley's about to start for us. But short term, obviously, yes, I do worry about it because I don't know where we're going to get the quarterback from. But guys like a Jimmy G or a Sam Darnold, they can come in and win with these weapons in this system. So short-term panic, yes, but long-term, I'm relaxing.
So here's it's hilarious that you were talking about long-term when that was me and Don's entire argument for Anthony Richardson. We'll leave that for now. Explain to me how Mike McDaniel's system is proven. Don, how many AFC?
No. He had a quarterback that was not performing that got somebody fired, only for that quarterback to lead the league in passing yards and get a $200 million extension.
Brian Flores.
No, hold on. Everybody wants to say the thing that was holding Tua back was he didn't have a good coach, and that's why Brian Flores got fired.
They made the playoffs.
So we have to give all the credit to Mike McDaniel because Tua was trash before he got there. He fixed them. He turned them into this cool quarterback that leads
they won the same amount of games.
He got all these cool tattoos now, and now he's the franchise quarterback. So which is it? It's Mike McDaniel. That's what you guys have convinced me.
See, this is what happens when you team switch like you do. You lose track of what's happening. They won the same amount of games with Brian Flores.
I agree. And we're going to talk about Brian Flores in a little bit. I was the biggest proponent that Brian Flores was not the issue. But now, I can't ignore what Mike McDaniel has done for Tua. I can't ignore that. This offense has looked good.
That's what I'm asking you. How many AFC title games has the Dolphins played in?
Oh, my God.
What exactly has he done for Tua? What has he actually done for that team that Brian Flores wasn't on his way to doing?
Anytime I make a point of this show, y'all take it to the max extreme. I never said he was God. I said I'm not panicking because he has shown that he can get another quarterback that is at least at Tua's level to come in and perform in this system. That's why I'm not panicking long term.
Who?
I didn't say anything about Super Bowls or AFC championships and all that stuff.
Who?
I specifically was talking about that.
Who was the other quarterback?
I said he could. I see it. He could.
Skylar Thompson just played. Skylar Thompson just played.
Coming into the system right now, and we can win 9 games.
Mike White was winning games with the Jets, and he went to the Dolphins. What happened?
Oh my God.
Skylar Thompson just played this weekend. Did they win? Let me know. I mean, what exactly has Mike McDaniel actually proven in the NFL?
So which one is it? Is Mike McDaniel the good coach, or is Brian Flores the good coach? Because you were all over the Mike McDaniel hype train when he came in.
I said he looked like the high school weed guy. I didn't say he was a great coach.
About team switching. Oh my God.
Oh my God.
Y'all two are the worst. I now remember why I don't do shows with y'all, because y'all make absolutely no damn sense. No sense at all. No sense at all.
I gotta say though, Jerm, I disagree with you a little bit because I would say relax. You still got. I'm gonna go down the JT line of questioning.
Oh, I know this shit.
Is Tyreek Hill still there? Yes. Is Jalen Waddle still there? Yes. Is Mike McDaniel still there? Yes. And Mike McDaniel's a good coach. So is Brian Flores. It doesn't mean it's not mutually exclusive. It doesn't mean one or the other. They're both really good coaches. Mike McDaniel, offensive guy, Flores, defensive guy. If you're in South Beach, Miami, South Florida, you need to be an offensive guy. I'm sorry. That's just the way the life is down there. JT can subscribe to that. So listen, you're still in South Beach. Life is good down there if you're a Dolphin fan. Like, relax. You're going to be all right.
The Dolphins,
it's 50-50.
And listen, Tua will be back. Like, it's only week 3. And I understand there's this talk about retirement. The guy has said he doesn't want to retire. So unless the medical personnel, his medical advisors tell him to retire, he's coming back and they will be fine.
Jerm, you've seen Any Given Sunday, right?
Yeah.
Stark LeVay is Tua's future. They're going to bring him in the office and be like, you know what, man, you got to sign all these waivers. And if you go out there and this happens, it's on you. That's what's going to happen.
The Dolphins in the entire AFC have scored the least amount of points by a lot, by the way. And so, like, the points against, their top 5 points against. They're not playing great defense. The Tyreek Hill's there. He's been a non-factor. All this stuff. You know, if Mike McDaniel was such a great coach, he would make it happen with whoever he has there. Tua isn't like where's Tua rank in the quarterbacks of the league? Is he a top 10 quarterback?
But
No,
Jerm,
he's not.
I think maybe to the point is that's what makes a great coach. We all know Tua skill-wise is not a top 10 guy, but McDaniel gets the most out of him in the team.
He led the league in passing yards. Think about that.
And this is the other thing, Jerm. Not every backup comes in and is amazing, regardless of the coach. It does take time. Like, he's not going to fix Skylar Thompson in one NFL game, right? I mean, that's facts.
Right. My thing is, but even at the height of
Matt Flynn throws 6 touchdowns in one backup game.
I get that,
right? I mean, that happens.
But JT's argument is panic or relax with the Dolphins, and it's relax, but relax to what?
I said relax long term though. Short
but what long term? Tua can't even stay on the field. Like, if it gets 35-mile-per-hour winds out there, he's going to be out for 7 weeks with a concussion. Like, what? So what exactly has Mike McDaniel proven? The Dolphins haven't won anything. Every year, what happens? They put up 70 points or they win X amount of games. They get to the playoffs, they got to go play somewhere cold, and then they get stomped. Not beaten, they get beat up. And so he hasn't really proven anything other than he can beat up really bad teams by 70 points. Like, that's my point. So it is panic time because Mike McDaniel came in being a hot offensive coordinator from San Francisco. San Francisco has been in the Super Bowl mad years. Conference title games, mad years. Mike McDaniel was supposed to come in here and deliver that. He hasn't even gotten close. So it's panic time because the clock is now starting. The shtick is wearing thin. The capri pants and the shaded tints and the Versace shades.
I agree with you on that. I do think his whole act, if they don't start winning, will start wearing thin. But the extension kind of shades him from that. The other thing is, yes, he did come from the 49ers Shanahan tree, but you making it seem like he came to a 49ers roster. Like, the Dolphins roster was not that good.
They have the best receiver in the league.
That's one guy. Their O-line was
Jalen
not
Waddle.
that good.
Where's Jalen Waddle at?
Our running backs were so good that we allowed 30-year-old off-hurt Raheem Mostert to be our lead back for a season. Like, just think about it.
Now you have A-Chain. And now you have A-Chain.
This roster was not that talented. They were not that deep. They were propped up by 2 receivers and a quarterback that he learned how to work within his scheme.
Do you see what this is? This isn't the U. You see what this is,
His effect on this franchise.
The Utah Utes?
No. This is
It's all about the U.
This is the U. This is JT moving the goalpost. Everywhere I go, I'm just moving the goalpost.
I'm literally staying within my point. Like, I'm arguing against your point. You want to shit on Mike McDaniel because you're like, oh, he's supposed to come in here and win Super Bowls. Like, your Bills have been way more talented than the Dolphins have, and they have not even won an AFC Championship game.
Yeah,
so
but
what do you expect? Mike McDaniel, you should be there. The Bills at one point had a top 5 talented roster in the league. Yeah, you move that all you want to, because that's exactly what you do with that goalpost. I'm telling you, the Dolphins were not a good roster. Mike McDaniel came in and made them one of the
They
most
were already in the
offense
playoffs
in the
with
league.
Brian Flores. They made the playoffs
Because our defense was good, they stripped that down and they went offense. The roster
Don,
was not
is
complete.
Brian Flores an offensive or defensive
Oh, my
coordinator?
God.
Well, he's a
defensive
guy,
That's
but you got to admit Mike McDaniel did fix that offense. Listen, I'm a Mike McDaniel guy. I mean, there's something about him. And our guy Mike Regina, he's with JT on this one. Tua looked lost. McDaniel's fixed them. It's time for them to trade for Bryce. He's the Crimson Tide Whisperer. So maybe he is. Maybe there's a point to that.
Why you put that at Jerm about to go ape shit now? Come on, man.
Lord.
We not mentioning
We got to
Bryce
go to
Young.
the next one. We got to go to the next one.
All right. Relax or panic. 49ers Super Bowl window. Jerm, you do a perfect segues, by the way, man. This is why we bring you on, man.
Thank you. Thank you.
You just moved the show along beautifully.
I'll make this quick. It's definitely panic. It's because their roster is expensive and now their roster's old and they have their lead guy going to Germany in the middle of the season. It's not a good sign. It's panic time.
Yeah, where's that panic button? Hit the panic button. I mean, we talked about this, I think, during the offseason, JT. It was kind of now or never. They were lucky with injuries. Is Trent Williams playing? Like, I don't even know what's the situation there. I mean, they don't look like the same team. There's something missing there. I think I mentioned that before. I'd be hitting panic right now.
Yeah, I'm panicking. And this is what happens when you make it to Super Bowls and you don't win. It's so hard to win in the NFL, man. And
the window closes real quick.
And Jerm knows this better than anybody. He's a Bills fan. You go to all those Super Bowls and you lose, like you still have those games and that mileage on your body. So it adds up over time. And I think that's what you're seeing. That's why all their stars are hurt. And sorry, CMC going over to Germany. The only person I know that did that was Kobe, and he was in serious trouble. He needed it. So I'm worried. I'm panicking. Oh, I love this one. Panic or relax? Oh, look up when we talking to you, man. You know what's next.
Hey.
Trevor Lawrence.
Panic. You kidding me? What this guy, the prince that was promised, he's supposed to come in and be a can't miss prospect. Now he went from a can't miss prospect to a can't start player. This guy is awful. He's Gardner Minshew. They put up. I can't remember what show it was. It was on FS1. Him and Gardner Minshew are identical stats, but they give Trevor Lawrence all this leash and they try to treat Gardner Minshew like he's trash. Like, it's over. This guy, I don't know what's going on with him. I don't know if he was ever that good. Maybe he was just elevated because of what happens in college. And we got to stop doing that. We got to stop taking what happens in college and making it seem like they're going to do the same thing in the NFL. Very few end up doing that. And it's just a bad thing that we as sports media do to these young players, because Trevor Lawrence, when you go to a bad team and you're as hyped as Trevor Lawrence was, you're expected to immediately change that franchise. They've been decent. Maybe on some occasions good, but they try to put this guy in like MVP conversations. They try to put this team as a contender in the AFC. It's ridiculous. I'm not going to say he's not good. He is vastly overrated. And if he is not the player they drafted, then it's definitely panic time for him. We need to stop talking about him like he is like some top upper echelon quarterback. He is a bottom half quarterback until he proves otherwise.
Who's better, Trevor or Tua? Who would you rather have right now?
I would rather have Tua. If health is not an issue, I'd rather have Tua.
That's tough. Don, relax or panic?
It's relax. All right. This is Jacksonville. Like, name the best starting quarterback ever in Jacksonville Jaguars.
Derek Garrard.
Mark Brunell.
Exactly. It's one of two guys. Brunell.
I'm pretty sure they'd rather have those guys right now than Trevor Lawrence.
It's Brunell or Trevor Lawrence. Those are the two. There's no other options in there, right? So that goes to tell you everything you need to know about that organization.
2005 Blake Bortles or Trevor Lawrence?
Oh, come on.
Blake
That's
Bortles.
not even close. It's not even
Blake,
close.
Blake Bortles put up like 40 touchdowns that year.
Blake Bortles had one of the best defenses in the past 10 years. Come on. That's so unfair.
Agreed.
That's so unfair.
Yeah, but
right.
your point about Jacksonville.
But Jerm, this is the thing. Everybody in that organization is underachieving, right? He's going to take the heat because he got the new contract. He's the quarterback. Look at Etienne, 44 yards, 3.7 average in the first game, 52 yards against Cleveland, 4.0 average, 68 yards against Buffalo, had a better average per rush. Everyone's underachieving. Who are his receivers? We laughed when they paid Christian Kirk that sort of money. Gabe Davis, Your own team, Jerm, said hit the road. They were laughing and booing him last night at the game because they knew it's Jacksonville. They actually kind of felt bad, I think, toward the end for Gabe Davis because then I think he got hurt, right? You're dealing with not even Evan and Ingram's out there. And Doug Peterson, let me tell you something. Maybe Nick Foles should get a lot more credit than we give him credit for because maybe it wasn't so much Doug Peterson. Yeah, he came up with the Philly special, but that's one play. To win a Super Bowl, you've got to do all of the routine plays exceptional, right? It's not making the exceptional play look routine. It's making the routine plays exceptional day in, day out. And maybe that was Nick Foles. Maybe it was Carson Wentz during the season. Maybe that team was just that good it could overcome his head coaching because they had a defensive coordinator and an offensive coordinator that knew what they were doing for that 1 year. That may have been it. I'm sorry. And I'm not even blaming, and I'm over the Urban Meyer stuff. That we're years removed. But I got to defend Trevor here because we always talk about being like impatient. We talked about this on the whole show. And it's like, listen, I know he's not playing great. But the fact that Doug Peterson won't even commit to him as the starting quarterback, yes, please put in Mac Jones and see how bad it can get. Please, because that actually may help Trevor.
Yeah, but
what's he going to do?
Here's
Hand it off
thing.
30 times to Etienne? Well, then let Trevor do it.
If that's what it takes. Then
let Trevor do it. I don't understand this.
So
you're going to change your offense and your philosophy to make yourself look like it's the right move to fit Mac Jones. Do that for Trevor. Build him up. He looked like the next Hall of Fame quarterback in that Chargers playoff game.
He had a good game, but there's not been much growth from him from his rookie season. He's not vastly different than he was when he first entered the league.
There's no growth because there's no growth to the team. There's no growth. They're going back in receiving.
What do you mean? What do you mean?
If he was on a different team,
other than weapons, right? Like Ingram had 100 catches last year. What are you talking about?
He's not playing. Have you been watching this year? He's out. He's been out.
But you act like he hasn't been bad for a while now. Come on.
I think him being in Jacksonville helps him because if he was in a bigger market, the heat would be a little bit higher on him.
Also,
like if he was on the Giants,
also hurts him.
Right.
Daniel Jones could have the same excuse. But Daniel Jones at least has Malik Neighbors. He had Saquon Barkley. I mean, this guy's had neither of those guys.
Yeah, I don't know. I would panic because he's not elevated. Like there's only so much great players. My Buffalo Bills. I've railed against Sean McDermott. Everybody thinks Sean McDermott. He is riding Josh Allen's coattails. There are just players that elevate everybody else. And if Trevor Lawrence was that dude that he was supposed to be, that they thought he drafted, wouldn't matter who the coach is because he would be so excellent. Like Josh Allen, who are the Bills receivers? I mean, come on now. Like, who are we talking about? Josh Allen raises the waters for everybody else.
I agree.
You pay a guy $300 million, I expect you to raise the waters. If Evan Ingram or not, Christian Kirk is there. You have receivers there. You were supposed to raise the waters for everybody else, and he's not doing that.
They had Calvin Ridley last year.
Hold on. Oh, please. Come on. The guy hadn't played in 2.5 years. Jerm, I didn't say he was Josh Allen. I just said relax. And this is
I know
point.
that. I know.
Hold on. One other point you brought up. Then why did you guys fire the OC? If Josh Allen could fix everything and he was great, which he was not under Dorsey, he was not. Let's admit it. He's much better now. It's because of the OC. So why can't other guys get some of that too?
Because Josh Allen was already individually great with the play calling
Trevor
that was
Lawrence
kind of
beat
hindering.
The Chargers. You don't understand. Buffalo has a great history, a great franchise, a great tradition, great fans. Jacksonville has to play half their games overseas because ain't nobody care. Let's be honest.
There we go. Hey, Beer Me, shout out to you. Right on time. Jacksonville living off the hype of a comeback against the Chargers 2 years ago.
It's Jacksonville. They're still complaining about the pass interference call in the AFC title game 8 years ago. That's the way it is in Jacksonville because they got nothing else to root for.
I feel you, but when you pay a guy $300 million, bro, that timeline gets pushed up, bro.
He's
I need to see.
games
Hey,
in.
we're in the.
He's 3 games into that contract.
He should have got the contract in the first place.
They should have waited. I am in the results business, not the excuse-making business.
Hold on,
we need
Jerm.
to win. We need to see something.
Hold on. You defended the Daniel Jones contract, as I did, right? Because we
He
said
deserved
at the
it
time,
that year.
Okay, and so did Trevor. So did Trevor.
no.
I'm sorry.
Okay.
His body of
All right.
work, he deserved it. For what the going rate is, he deserved it.
Hey, hold on. Before I get my answer, y'all brought up a good question that I did not think to put on here. Who is more deserving of the extension, Trevor Lawrence or Daniel Jones?
It's
Probably-
Trevor Lawrence. He plays in Jacksonville. The Giants can get any quarterback they want, as you saw with Eli Manning.
True.
It's Jacksonville.
True. All right.
I'm not
got
trying
you,
to be rude
Jacksonville.
to the Jaguars franchise, but it's the facts, right?
Hey, you must got season tickets
They
with the
never
boys or
got a
something.
Super Bowl. They never got a Super Bowl back for a reason. And why are they the most played team overseas? They probably have the most UK fans of any NFL team. Think about that.
100%.
There you go. That explains a lot of things. You don't see the Steelers going over there all that much. You don't see San Francisco or Dallas going over there every year. There's a reason, because people want to see them at home. They're not willing to give up a home game for that. It's facts.
Man, shout out to Jerm for basically saying Sean McDermott is, John Harbaugh of the New York area. So he said that he ride the MVP coattails. You know Trevor Lawrence is cooked when you were throwing fan numbers into the argument. Like, nobody give a damn about fans. Because if this were Dak or Lamar or any of these players like a CD or Jamar Chase that have to fight and act out Justin Jefferson, I'll even throw him in there to get extensions when they are clearly elite players producing in the league. While Trevor Lawrence just says, you know what, I don't give a shit about winning. It doesn't matter to me. I'll just go surfing this summer and I'll have this $200 million guaranteed extension waiting for me. I expect the world. And also, y'all called him generational. Y'all said he was generational.
No, I didn't say that.
They said he was, and he looking more like a general game manager. Like, it is not working out. And look at the stats. Like, he's in his fourth year, he's already in the midst of his second 8-game losing streak in his career. Like, that can't happen. Through 53 games the last 4 seasons, he's first in giveaways, including first in lost fumbles, and he has the third most interceptions.
The answer to everything.
That's crazy. That's crazy. And to add on top of that, if you want to talk about guys that have been drafted at quarterback first overall since 2006, he has a third worst QBR. Only Bryce and Jamarcus Russell are worse. So I don't even know how he got the extension just based on this, because you're supposed to earn this stuff.
Because he plays in Jacksonville. He's the closest thing to a franchise guy.
It's Trevor Bank Stadium. Yeah, I get it.
And that's why they have to relax.
I'm panicking because
but this is
hold on. I'll let you go. Here's the kicker on why I'm really panicking. The stats tell me that I should be panicking, but now I'm starting to see it in the games where he's starting to lose confidence. Like in that Bills game, like that was the turning point for me. He's missing throws that you should make, even in garbage time. Like, you can't be sailing it that high. Like, those are high school throws. There wasn't a guy within like 3 or 4 yards of Brian Thomas Jr. So I think it's starting to leak into his confidence, and that's why you're hearing the coach saying, I don't know if I'm committing to him as a starter. Like, maybe it's time for him to go to the bench because that bad play is starting to wear on him. You turn the ball over that much in this league, like that, you don't think that gets to you? And now he has that pressure of that contract. I'm absolutely panicking on him, man. Like, they need to fix him.
And Daniel Jones deserved that contract more. His stats are better than Trevor Lawrence's.
It's
15 touchdowns. I hear you.
It's too late to go to the bench. And this is the other thing. We always talk about panic. Well, you know what? Then you're going to end up in a situation like the Steelers. You're going to end up in a situation like all these other teams that had no succession plan. Minnesota got lucky. They ended up getting a Darnold, right? So, like, my thing is, you think Darnold would be doing this in Jacksonville? Heck no. He don't got no Justin Jefferson there. Like, he doesn't. He doesn't have Kevin O'Connell calling the plays who schemes guys open, according to Cooper Kupp and Justin Jefferson. Like, I'm sorry. Part of it is you've got to be patient. You just have to be with certain guys.
But what's the time limit on patience, Don? Like, he's already on his second contract.
But he's not technically, because I don't think the extension's kicked in. He has a 5-year rookie deal, right? Has he finished 5 years? No. I think he's on his fourth year.
You making a lot of excuses where most guys don't even get a third of this grace.
I've been doing this all show for teams. I've been doing this all show. We talked about the Dolphins I did it for. I did it for Anthony Richardson. Like,
yeah, I feel like you did it because you knew this question was coming. You're like, I want to say relax and everybody, and you just go try to slide Trevor in there because that's your guy.
Ask the next one. Hit me up on the next one. I'll give you my answer right now. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Now you just gonna be condescending about it.
I'm not.
All right, panic or relax. The GOAT, Caleb Williams.
It's relaxed. We're 3 games in, and they should have won the first game. I mean, I don't understand this. Just because the Carolina Panthers can't get their stuff together, no offense to Mike Regina, but he knows the way it is with the Carolina Panthers and that owner. Like, they can't get their stuff together. Now they're benching Bryce Young this early. They're talking about moving on from him already. The Bears fans, they're going to do the same thing. What do you think? You're going to get Dan Marino in the building the next time? No, it's going to be the same thing. It's going to be the Cade McNown type of guy, or Caleb Williams, or Justin Fields. Now you think Justin Fields is great all of a sudden because he goes to a well-run organization. He goes to a team that's going to use him properly and win on defense in the running game, the Pittsburgh Steelers. So relax, Chicago Bears. Get the right people in place first. Then you can worry about Caleb Williams. Get all your other stuff right in-house, Chicago Bears and their fans in the Windy City. Then you can worry and focus on Caleb Williams. Until then, that guy's got no chance, not because of him, because he has the talent, but it's because of the organization and the people around him.
Jerm,
I'm not even talking about the other players.
I've never seen him this relaxed. So you following suit? You panicking or you relaxing?
If I'm not panicking because I was proven 100% right that Caleb Williams is one of the most overrated prospects to ever come out of college. Dude's crying in his mom's arms because he couldn't finish college football games and couldn't even, like, I mean, what are we talking about here? This guy, if he was as good at football as he was at painting his nails, he'd have 7 Super Bowls right now in his rookie year.
It's got
so
nothing
focused
to do with one thing.
It does.
Doesn't.
His attitude, his ego.
So, Jerm, you're telling me there's never been a guy.
That CJ Stroud video is not helping his argument. He seemed like he was too good to take some advice.
There's never been a guy. There's never been a guy in the NFL without an ego. Come on, the NFL's built on ego.
Hey, CJ Stroud seemed pretty egoless to me.
It's not about that.
He's not. Trust me, I'm sure he's not. And I'm a CJ Stroud fan.
Guys have come into the league with ego, but they have the talent to match, and more importantly, they have given themselves time to earn it. Caleb Williams skipping the combine or telling people he's not doing this or that, but then walking around and dapping other people up, basically knowing, oh, I'm the number 1 pick. I don't got to do this. I'm going to come and do this. Doing all this, like all these interviews, all this press before he's even touched the field. You know, instead of focusing on being a rookie quarterback and trying to learn with the team, it was all going to come back to bite you. Never mind the fact that in college, really weren't that good. What'd you win? What'd you do? You falling apart the second half of your last season in college? Okay, I mean
that's a big deal according to JT. Jaden Williams or Jaden Daniels won it.
Vince Young won the Heisman Trophy. No.
How was he also had to go play for Jeff Fisher.
No. Results business, not excuse-making business.
That was the argument JT made for Jaden Daniels earlier.
Rex Grossman also made the Super Bowl, and Trent Dilfer has a Super Bowl ring. Is he better than Dan Marino? Don't bring up any college stuff with me, like in terms of awards and accolades.
We got to get him to watch more college. He's way too angry at the game.
I don't want to watch a bunch of accountants and burger flippers play football on Saturday. We only care about the 3 or 4 guys that come out of college every year. I don't want to watch Troy in Alabama play to a 73.
We're going to take you to a college football game. You long overdue. You need to go.
That's how you know Jerm didn't go to a college football school.
No, sure didn't.
Right there.
I went to the school of hard knocks, baby. I went to a bunch of colleges, Don, but I didn't go to any classes, if you know what I'm talking about. Shout out to the dorms at Temple University. All right, go ahead. My bad. Next one.
He bringing up Temple. That's just bad football anyway. But yeah. I will say this. I agree with you on the concerns about him, about like the off the field stuff, because I also had concerns about him. I'm like, the stuff that we love that he does, Justin Fields was already doing, and also like Zach Wilson did in his workouts too. Like, it's the same stuff. I need to see it. But honestly, I'm relaxing. Like, the dude just had the second most yards passing in the game for any quarterback this season. Like, he gonna be all right. Is the scheme great? No. Are they healthy? No. Do they have any running backs? Hell no. And he's still out there slinging it. Bro, he had like 350 yards passing. So he's showing that he has the upside. Like, this is what you would want from Josh Allen coming into that same situation if he played for the Bills.
The difference
you want to see flashes, and he showed it. I'm relaxed. I'm not panicking.
There's a huge difference, and I hear y'all. I do. I really do. But when Caleb Williams, the whole offseason, when he was going to get drafted, they went out and grabbed Keenan Allen. They went out and did all this stuff in the offseason. They had the Bears as one of the favorites to represent the NFC. Like,
that's a mistake. They shouldn't have done that.
Cool, but it happened. That didn't happen with the Bills and Josh Allen. Like, it didn't happen with some of these other players. They weren't immediately vaulted into the upper echelons
because it's
of the
Caleb
league.
Williams. Like, to be honest, that's why you should go watch him
That's
play
why
at
it's-
You should watch him play at USC. Like, it's Caleb Williams. He was doing stuff that we had not seen before, like a generational type quarterback. I don't like the term, but that's what they said. Like, he was doing it. And what made it even more impressive was it was just him. Like, the only person he ever had was Jordan Addison. It felt like for like 10 games. Everyone else that he throw to, like, what other offensive weapons has he had? And he's putting up all these stats. Like, he made that team go. So, I mean, I feel like the hype was warranted. And then he went to Chicago. Come on, like, they've never had a quarterback like that before. So it was always going to be overhyped.
For all the hype, I just expected it to look a little better. That's all I'm saying.
Damn, what you want? You want a Super Bowl in 3 games? He looked pretty damn good.
No, I want him to not look like, especially when you look at Jaden Daniels. I don't want him to look like
his nails painted while he's
no. I don't care about that. Trust me, I'm already dealing with that with Jared McCain on the Sixers. I don't like that shit either. Dog, go win some football games. Go win some football games before. Hey, listen, if you like it, I love it. All you guys into that weirdo shit, have at it. Go win some games first, though. How about that? Because you know what happens when you paint your nails and you do all this claw bullshit and you come out and you start losing games or you look like dog ass, then people are going to start bringing that stuff up. You have to earn it. And that's my problem with it. Don't go out there and do all this extracurricular stuff when you're a rookie. Earn it first. Dennis Rodman, nobody cared about Dennis Rodman marrying himself and wearing a wedding dress because he was getting 37 rebounds a game. But he earned that. He didn't start that. Go look at his Detroit and early San Antonio days. He wasn't doing that weird shit until, even though you could tell he was an off guy, he didn't go off the rails until what? Until he started winning championships, because that's what it's about. These kids today are so focused on becoming celebrities online. This is why Angel Reese is getting shitted on. She's out there starting a podcast in the middle of the season when her team is fighting for a playoff spot. And this is why she gets criticism. Caleb Williams is going to get the criticism because he's doing all this shit, and then he's out there laying stinkers. I don't care if he threw for 350 yards in garbage time and a loss. You lost. You go out there and win some games, and then you can go out there and roar the crowd. Nobody cares until you start winning football games. You were brought there. Their return on investment is not being paid. You were brought there to lead that franchise, and you're not doing it. And you don't even look like the third best rookie out there. Bo Nix looks better than you.
Oh, come on.
I'm just telling you. I'm telling you what the street.
But Jerm, there's a couple things that you said. Like, one, it depends on who you ask. Like, that may not be unusual activity, right, of what he does. And then two, the other thing is nowadays everyone is a celebrity. Like look at the Chicago Bear player, right, who's married to, I believe, Simone Biles, right?
Oh yeah, Owens.
He left during training camp, right? But it was made a big deal because she's a celebrity, he's a football player, so he's instantly a celebrity. Like the players nowadays can't do anything without it being noticed, whether they want it to or not. So who knows what other players are doing? It's just that Caleb Williams is the quarterback. Like, that's the way it goes, but it doesn't mean he should be something that he is not. Now, if you want to criticize him for plays on the field, okay. But again, he's 3 games in. And again, until last night's game, a lot of people in Washington, I live here, they were really worried about this pick of Jaden Daniels. But now he looks great. And don't forget, though, I would say temper your expectations because it was the Cincinnati Bengal defense. They're pitiful this year. Pitiful. All right.
Caleb Williams has a 59% completion percentage with 630 yards. Bo Nix.
3 games. It's 3 games.
I'm just listen. That's all we can go by. I'm just 62%, 600 yards. I don't know. I'm just telling you, when you're the number 1 pick and you carry on yourself and you present yourself in a certain way, it needs to be better. Sorry,
Jerm. Bo Nix
comes with the expectation.
Bo Nix has Sean Payton, Super Bowl champion coach, future Hall of Famer,
and no expectations.
Who's the coach in Chicago? I don't even know who the OC is right now anymore. Is it still Getsy?
It's Shane Waldron. He's horrible.
All right.
That's Geno Smith.
All right, so let's go. Forget about it or Fugazi. All right, this is the hot segment in all the sports. Jerm, can you get the Give Us a Shot Network attorneys on the case for Craig Carden? They stole our segment. They didn't
did.
Send them a cease and desist letter. Have your attorneys.
I will.
Have the network attorneys send them that cease and desist letter. Appreciate it. Thank you. All right, so first one, Jerm. Shohei Ohtani is a lock top 5 player all time.
Hell yeah, lock it up. Lock it safe, throw it in the ocean, tie it with a bunch of chains, and just nobody listen. when we talk about Hall of Famers, it's like, can you tell the history of the sport without mentioning this player? Dog, there's nobody ever like Shohei Ohtani. That right there puts him in the top 10. On top of the fact that he created the 50-50 club as a pitcher at the DH position. Yeah. Listen, I'm not saying he's number 1 or 2. I'm just saying he's top 5, 1,000%.
JT always hesitant with Shohei. I don't understand.
I'm not. And I feel like if I say no, it's going to be like, I know it's going to happen. Like, oh, you hate him. You're being a hater. Oh, don't you see his greatness?
Jerm,
what do you tell the story?
Jerm, what do you call him, Jerm?
Diabolical hater, man. That's crazy.
No, seriously, because we had this. I feel like we had this conversation last year, and I'm gonna stick to my answer. And I'm gonna say Fugazi, and I love Shohei and what he's doing this year. Phenomenal. Like it's unreal. It's unreal because he's doing all this and he still had Tommy Johns. Like I don't think he get enough credit for that. But we're talking about top 5 all time. Hall of Fame, I think, is like no doubt at this point. Like he's in there. But top 5, because think about who you would have to remove from the top 5 all time to make room for him. Because he's not going to have the stats because he started his career late and he doesn't just stick to one position. So it's not like he's going to have like a bunch of home runs all time, strikeouts, ERA, wins, batting average, hits, things that matter to people when you're talking about these GOAT conversations. And the only other thing that he could do to make that argument is he got to have the wins, the championships, and the hardware with MVP and all this stuff. And he'll get some of those, I'm sure, but it's not enough to overcompensate for the stats that he's not going to be able to catch up. Like, he's not even in the top 300 all-time home runs. Like, you think he's going to break on that by the time he's done? I just don't see who you remove to make room for him in the top 5 just based on what those guys had to do for us to put them there. No shade to Shohei, amazing all-time player, but top 5, I just don't see how he gets there.
Let's forget about it. I mean, you gotta consider this. He's only been in the major leagues, I looked this up, since 2018. I feel like he's been around forever, but that's how good he's been. It seems like he's been around forever. You would think he has all these stats. And a lot of it was, yes, he played in Japan. So his MLB career is going to be short in one way or another. But even with that, and I can't remember watching any baseball player prior to 1990, okay? 91, whatever. But
the Pirates,
he's got to be top 5. He's got to be top 5. I mean, to be he created, he owns, he's the founder, the only one in the 50-50 club. And they're talking today, could he be in the 60-60 club? I mean, that is incredible. In a day and age where stolen bases aren't that hot anymore, he's still doing it. And listen, I think it's just the fact that how good of a pitcher he is. He's had arm issues, but how good of a pitcher he is. When you're talking about all top 5 player all time, and I'm a big stats guy, so JT, I appreciate you kind of saying, well, he's not in this and he's not in that, and that's fine. The stats are the stats. But when you look at it, when he's been healthy, I mean, his season after season, they've all been historical. And that's what's amazing to me. And so that's why, throw out everything else. We're talking about just top 5 player all time.
That's what makes it tough, because I think what's going to end up happening, and I want to say, like, I love Shohei Ohtani, like, favorite player. What I think it's going to come down to is, are we going to let him be better in arguments all time than we let Wilt Chamberlain be? Because that's essentially who he is. It's like he does these freakish things, puts up all these stats, but it's like he don't always get the credit because he doesn't have all these other things, wins, championships, MVPs that we care about, like all-time, stats and all that stuff. Like, we always find ways to put 5 or 6 guys ahead of Wilt Chamberlain comfortably, and I feel like, how do we not let Shohei fall into that same category within the MLB discussion?
Because he's playing offense and defense in baseball, where generally all the great players only play one position. And he had a year where he was top 5 hitter and pitcher. Like, he's easily already the most skilled / talented baseball player we've ever seen.
And I'm not saying, and we're talking about top 5 skilled all time. Like,
no, I got you, but I'm saying just that puts you at least in a conversation. But He's like just
But
his
you wouldn't
percentages
do
are
that
so.
for any other sport, though.
Well,
Like,
we just did it with Patrick Mahomes. He just did it through winning
But he's
championships.
winning, though.
I got
winning,
you,
though.
but we're doing it. We did it with him winning championships. We were so comfortable putting him past Peyton Manning and Drew Brees and Dan Marino and all these other guys quickly. Like, yes, he won championships, but he also had the greatest receiver in the NFL, the second greatest tight end of all time, and the greatest coach of all time. But we don't it's Patrick Mahomes. So it's like we've already made that concession that we're willing to do that for players, even though Patrick Mahomes isn't even close to being done playing.
But I disagree, because I think Patrick Mahomes' situation is different because he's got the MVPs, he's got the championships, like he's got a dynasty already. Like, what has Shohei won? Like, and I don't want to say this. I don't want to say this to shit on him, because that's why I didn't want to answer this question. I'm just saying, like, the allure of him and what he's done is so crazy. It's like, yeah, you got to put him in there. But I'm like, realistically, like, who are you kicking out of the top 5 to make room for him, just based on what he's done?
Well, Shohei's a 2-time MVP, and he was Player of the Year for the Major League. He was Rookie of the Year. He's 2-time Silver Slugger. I mean, Babe Ruth, kick him out. Babe Ruth is playing against Milkman.
See?
So, but JT, you talk about like Wilt Chamberlain, one individual guy in basketball, as you know, some will disagree, but can change or alter a game much more than a guy that's batting just fourth.
But I'm not arguing his impact. Like, that's not where I'm going with that.
This is the thing, JT. I don't think many people outside the New York Yankees would say that Jeter is better than A-Rod, right? And Jeter has all the rings.
Yeah.
Like,
right.
so
A-Rod's
that's
a better
kind
player.
of this.
Yes.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
kind of that's the situation here, where people are going to realize, like, yeah, so-and-so may have rings, but very few times in baseball. Like, Barry Bonds is still known as whatever, top 10, top 5 player of all time. And in Pittsburgh, we hold those rings against him that he doesn't have any, because he really was terrible in 3 playoff appearances for the Pirates. But outside of that, you always hear how great he is as a hitter, right? All these Gold Gloves, MVPs. Very few times do they say, well, he's not as good as Willie Mays because he don't have the rings. Like, that rarely comes up in baseball, where they start comparing.
My ignorance won't. Barry Bonds is the greatest baseball player to me. Like, my ignorance will never allow me to not say that. Barry Bonds is the GOAT to me. But
Well, I guess I can't change you guys' minds, because I'll just leave with this. If you can pick the 3 best hitters of all time, regardless of error, and the 2 best pitchers of all time, and say, I am comfortably taking one of those guys out of the top 5 to make room for him, then I won't argue it ever again.
But I mean, he can do both. He can do
Yeah,
both.
but he hasn't done it at that level for that long. That's what I'm saying. Like,
the fact that he hasn't done it for that long.
You're gonna throw out a pitcher that has the most strikeouts of all time to make room for him because what he does is fancy. Like, that's what I'm saying. Like,
But you're
who are you
forgetting-
picking
but it's
out?
not fancy.
But you're forgetting he just went 50-50.
I get it. I'm not shitting on
Randy
his
Johnson
accomplishment.
is great. Randy Johnson is great. But if you building a team, JT, who you taking? Both are
What
healthy.
era?
It doesn't
Right
matter.
now, any
both
era.
Are,
It don't
both
matter
are
what
healthy.
era.
Both are healthy.
I watched Shohei Ohtani hit a ball through the roof of the Tokyo Dome. All right, and then he went out there and then had like 10 strikeouts.
I get it, man, but I'm telling you,
all right.
When it wears off, objectively go look and see who you're kicking out the top 5, and I'm like, I think you're gonna get pushback, but that's just me. But it's 50-50.
That's fair. That's fair.
Okay.
Oh, my bad. Anthony Joshua's career is cooked. Forget about it, or Fugazi.
Go ahead, Jerm.
Forget about it, because I watched his knockout on Twitter and I said, "Oh, that looks like the makings of a cooked man." So I'm gonna go ahead and say, forget about it.
I'm gonna say forget about it. As Tyson Fury said, man, that loss just cost him $150 million in a fight with me. And listen, the fact that Joshua after had to say, what's next for you or whatever, he's like, I will basically fight whoever the fans want to see me fight. So he knows, he's just realized at this point he's in it for the fans. Like, wherever the money is, I will go, because he realizes all of his chances to the belt realistically should be done, right? They should be done. So now he's like, how can I make the most money? Oh, let me see what fight the fans want to see. So maybe he ends up facing like Jake Paul or something, So maybe his career isn't done, but like his legacy is cooked. Yes.
Yeah.
That win against Klitschko, however many years ago, seems ages, like decades ago.
Yeah, forget about it. He basically saying he's down to get passed around like Meek. It's over. Finito.
Yeah, him and Le'Veon Bell next.
Damn. All right, so this is especially for Jerm. 2024 will be the Bills' best shot to win a Super Bowl over the next decade.
Fugazi. And here's why. Remember who we have. His name is Joshua Allen. And what these 3 games have proven, what was the whole offseason? JT did it to me. Oh, no. He did it early in the show, matter of fact. Oh, no Gabe Davis, huh? No Stephon Diggs. The Bills are going to fall off the map. Oh, it's going to be a year back. What has Josh Allen proved? Now the Bills don't have to go out there and have a big-time receiver. Josh Allen has reached Tom Brady levels of elevating whoever. So now you don't have to spend money on a receiver. We now have proof that Josh Allen can make, lack for a better word, no names into, nobodies into somebodies. So now we can spend that money on offensive line to protect Josh Allen so that maybe a decade from now, when his athleticism starts to betray him a little bit, he's still going to have that cannon. He's still going to be able to throw. And so now you can spend that money and extend your window, because before, Diggs and Gabe Davis, like specifically Diggs, served a purpose in elevating and teaching Josh Allen how to be a quarterback. Now he's outgrown that. Now that's over with. Josh Allen doesn't need a number 1 receiver. He just needs a bunch of 2s and 3s, and he's good enough to make them who they need to be. So now good. Now you can spend money on offensive line and defense and extend that window past 2024. So this won't be their best chance. Matter of fact, they're going to have a better chance because they're eating $31 million of Stephon Diggs' contract. Now imagine what we can do with that money next year, when now we don't have to go get a crazy receiver. We don't have to go get a Jamar Chase or a T. Higgins or whoever's up next. We can spend money on the Mac Hollinses of the world, or just some fringe 2 or 3, the Curtis Samuels of the world. And now we can go get some really big dudes. We can replace the aging linebackers and Von Millers and keep this thing going, because Josh Allen is simply proven to be that guy. So I'm going to say Fugazi, this year is not going to be their best chance, because $31 million can change your team big time.
Yeah, it's Fugazi. And you said it, 2 words, Josh Allen in his prime. And the other thing too is the running back, the tight end, like they're young, right? Those pieces are in place. I think that they've got I'm not saying they'll win a Super Bowl, but to say this year is their best shot, I still don't agree. Just in the other part of it, Kansas City Chiefs still got some guys in their prime finishing up maybe their run in terms of with like Kelsey and maybe like an Andy Reid. So give it a few years. I'm not saying they'll win a Super Bowl, but this should not be their best shot.
Well, before I answer this, I will say, Jerm, I agree with you. Josh Allen is really showing he's really, really elite. But let's not fall into we can win with Curtis Samuel and that trap of no.
You see what he does? I didn't say that.
Let's don't do that.
I didn't say that.
Matt Collins and Curtis Samuel, trust me, you need more. I'm going to say forget about it, but I'm like 50-50 on this, because I do believe in Josh Allen long term. But I'm going to say forget about it for a few reasons. One, because the thing that's getting lost in all this is Josh Allen only got 1 turnover through 3 games. Like, yeah, he doesn't have to do a lot, but that's a big deal, because a lot of the Bills' struggles in the past have been self-inflicted because he's had to do too much, and now it looks easy for him because he's not turning over the ball. So that's got to boost his confidence. And the other thing is, this combination of Josh Allen, Sean McDermott, Joe Brady, you might not like those guys, but that combination is cooking right now. And to be honest, this is, I think, their best opportunity, their best way to play to beat the Chiefs. And if they don't win, that combination won't be together. And I don't know what other variables will come in that will mess up what you guys got going on right now, potential-wise. So I'm going to say forget about it. I think this is y'all best opportunity to win just because of what I've seen so far. And I think those 3 together are working so well. I don't want it to mess up. So I'm going to disagree. But Josh Allen is Josh Allen. They'll be around, but this is the best shot.
I will say that 1 turnover Josh Allen had, the fumble wasn't because he was trying to do too much. It was just his lineman lost a block and he got hit from behind and fumbled. So it was.
I mean,
so like,
he got to turn the ball over sometimes. Nobody's perfect. I get it.
but with Josh Allen, you have to provide context because he has this label of turnover machine, which again, he's earned, but like this turnover wasn't him being reckless Josh Allen. This was him getting blindsided.
So let us strike it from the record. Josh Allen has 0 turnovers on the season.
No.
I pointed it further. The man is flawless. Of course, he's the best chance to win.
All I'm saying is he has 1 turnover with an asterisk. That's all I'm saying.
I'm shocked that he only has 1 and no interceptions.
Yeah.
All right, last one. Brian Flores should be the #1 head coach target for NFL teams next season. Forget about it or Fugazi.
Fugazi. We just talked about him. Joe Brady will be. Look what he's done with the Buffalo Bills. They're 9-1 since he's taken over. They have the #1 offense right now. This is an offensive league. Brian Flores also is suing the NFL. So I think teams are going to probably stay away from him. But Joe Brady, just the way NFL has been hiring coaches, they're hiring the hot new offensive guy. That's just the way the trend is these days. It's an offensive league, and if Joe Brady continues this path with the Bills and they go out and win 13 games and end up in the Super Bowl, Joe Brady
Hold on. Joe Brady? So there goes that Super Bowl win that you promised me. Joe Brady's going to be gone.
Yeah, but Josh, we have Josh. Remember who we have, dog. I'm just telling you.
JT, they're going to bring back Dayball after he gets fired.
Yeah, after he gets fired. And we back. Okay. We back. See it, 2030. Super Bowl champs.
Through 2030. Jerm, I would say if there's an offensive guy that gets hired first, it should be Bobby Slowick over Joe Brady. No offense. He's the OC in Houston. But I would say, and maybe even Ben Johnson in Detroit over Joe Brady, but I digress. I'm going to say forget about it. Right now in this moment, it better be Brian Flores. Right now in this moment. Now, the NFL stands for not for long, so that could change over the next 14 games. All right. But right now in this moment, what he's doing in Minnesota and his proven track record, which I didn't think Miami should move on from him, but when they did, Mike McDaniel, I'm a believer in Mike McDaniel, so I think while the Dolphins, I thought, made a mistake, they recouped by bringing in a really good head coach in McDaniel. But Flores, with his resume, having head coaching, successful NFL head coaching experience, having gone through the Steelers organization, then up to Minnesota and doing what he's doing up there, he should be right now the #1 candidate target. But again, that could change as we go on during the course of the year. But right now, he should be the first hire out of the gate after 3 games.
Yeah, I agree. Forget about it. Right now, it should be him. And you look what he's doing. He's slowly reaching certified boogeyman status as a defensive coordinator. Yeah. They got 6 interceptions and at least 5 sacks every game so far. And it ain't like they're playing bums. They just held C.J. Stroud to 7 points, and he basically had Brock Purdy coming up and, saying like, hey, man, I'm a fan after they destroyed the 49ers. So I think what he did in Miami, we talked about it earlier, was underappreciated, but you're right. It's an offensive league. Bobby Slowick, Ben Johnson, Joe Brady, those will be the guys that will have all the hype. But like Don said, Brian Flores is the one that has the head coaching experience. He's been a head coach before. We've seen times where guys have never been first-time head coaches and it don't work out even though they were great coordinators. At least I know on Brian Flores, I can rely on him to do his job, and he's been there before. So for that and what he's done with the Vikings defense, I think he should be the #1 candidate next year.
All right. Well, Jerm, let the fans and listeners know where they can find you here on the Give Us a Shot Network.
Yeah, I am Jerm, one half of Stuff About Sports. You can check us out at Stuff About Sports on the Instagram. And then you can find us on the Give Us a Shot Network YouTube page or www.giveusashot.network, where you can find me, JT and the Don, Mike Hughes, the Shy Kid, the High Spot Podcast guys, Mike and Corey on the Divide, and Marcus and Martin, Protect Our Queens, who do excellent WNBA coverage. You can catch us all right here on the Give Us a Shot Network YouTube page.
Nice. Well, Jerm, thank you for your time this evening, man. It's a lot of fun when you come on the show.
Hell yeah.
We get to, I have a partner in crime against JT because he just doesn't believe me. But
I get it. I love it. Y'all got to come on and super cop up against me. I love it, man. I never back down from a challenge.
Of course, the diabolical hater is at work. That's
there you go. There you go. All right, Jerm. Well, thank you again. Hope to have you on soon. All right, and good luck to your Bills. Keep Josh Allen going. I have him in fantasy.
Hey, good luck to you. Hey, it's nice when the winners can get together. The 3-0s undefeated. You know, I mean, Miami
don't have a quarterback.
Hey, you don't know nothing about that over there in Miami, but it's
nice. It's nice to have a quarterback. That's all I'll say.
Hey, go out there and frolic in the grass with Mike McDaniel, since you just want a coach to be nice to you and like the incense and the high, hard rock.
Hey, I ain't say that. I like roughneck coaches, so I miss Flores. So that's all I'm saying.
Well, to the fans and listeners out there, thank you for listening. As always, remember to please subscribe to us. We can be found on all of the major platforms. JT and the Don All Sports Podcast, presented by Give Us a Shot Network. And remember, if you like what we do, leave us a 5-star review. And JT,
if you don't like what we do,
leave us a 5-star review. And remember to please follow us on social media. Our handle, JT and the Don. We can be found on Instagram, X, TikTok, and Facebook. So, Jerm, thank you again. JT, great show as always. A lot of fun with our guy Jerm. And until the next episode, see ya.
Peace.